USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for this day.
Welcome to Fun Facts Daily, your source for just the good stuff. Monday through Friday, we're bringing fun facts and news you can use, all carefully curated to uplift and inform. So give yourself a break, relax, and learn something awesome in just a few minutes every day. Hi everyone, I'm Kyle Wood. Today we'll be learning all about the brilliant Sir Isaac Newton, a true giant in the history of science. But before we delve into his incredible contributions, let's warm up our brains with a little challenge to tell truth from fiction. Consider this. We've all heard the famous story. Sir Isaac Newton is sitting under a tree, an apple falls, bonks him squarely on the head, and in that instant, like a cartoon light bulb going off, he has this eureka moment and discovers the theory of universal gravitation. It's a tidy little story and pretty memorable, but is it an actual fact or too good to be true? Take a moment to think about it. The truth will be coming down at the end of this episode. Now for our word of the day. Today's word is calculus. Calculus is a branch of mathematics that deals with rates of change and accumulation. It's made up of two main branches, differential calculus, which is about finding instantaneous rates of change, like the speed of a falling apple at a specific moment, and integral calculus, which is about summing up infinitely small pieces to find a whole, like the total distance that apple traveled. Sir Isaac Newton is one of two people credited with independently developing calculus in the late 17th century. The other was Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. Newton called his version, quote, the method of fluxions, end quote. He developed it to help him understand planetary motion and other physical problems that existing mathematics couldn't quite handle. The word calculus itself comes from Latin, where calculus originally meant a small stone or pebble like those used on an abacus for counting. So, in essence, calculus is a sophisticated method of calculating. Time for your daily high five, our top 5 fun facts about Sir Isaac Newton. Number 1, Newton invented a brand new type of telescope because he was frustrated with existing ones. In Newton's time, telescopes used lenses to refract or bend light, but these refracting telescopes suffered from a problem called chromatic aberration, where different colors of light bend at slightly different angles. This meant that images often had fuzzy, colored edges, making precise astronomical observations difficult. Newton, being the problem solver he was, figured out that using mirrors instead of lenses could avoid this issue. He designed and built the first practical reflecting telescope around 1668. It used a curved mirror to gather light and reflect it to a focal point, and then a smaller, flat secondary mirror angled at 45 degrees to direct the light to an eyepiece at the side of the telescope. This design, now known as the Newtonian telescope, was more compact and provided sharper images than refractors of similar power. He even ground and polished the mirrors himself. Number 2. Newton was famously cautious about publishing his work, sometimes waiting years or even until a rival had passed away. Sir Isaac Newton was not only brilliant, but also Famously sensitive to criticism and embroiled in several intense rivalries, most notably with Robert Hooke, another prominent scientist of the era. Hooke and Newton clashed over various scientific ideas, including light and gravity. Newton was so averse to public disputes and potential criticism, particularly from Hooke, he significantly delayed the publication of some of his most important works. For instance, his seminal work on light and color, Opticks, was largely complete decades before it was finally published in 1704. It's widely believed that Newton deliberately waited until after Robert Hooke died in 1703 to publish Opticks to avoid further acrimonious debate. Now, as long as we're talking optics and Sir Isaac Newton's quirks, that work studying light and color is actually how we got ROY G BIV, the 7 colors in the rainbow. And this is partially because Newton wanted colors to correspond to musical notes. Sir Isaac Newton's decision to designate 7 colors for the visible light spectrum, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, was not just a matter of pure optical observation. While his experiments with prisms were revolutionary, showing that white light is made up of all the different colors, the specific number and naming of these colors were influenced by his broader philosophy. Newton was deeply interested in finding underlying mathematical harmonies and analogies across different natural phenomena. He believed that the physical world operated according to a divinely ordered system, and he sought patterns and connections that would reveal the underlying structure. This pursuit of universal harmonies led Newton to draw a parallel between the colors of light and the notes in the Western musical scale, which in his time was well established with 7 distinct notes before repeating at the octave. From what we can gather, he initially identified fewer colors and later added orange and indigo to reach the number 7, thereby aligning the divisions of the spectrum with the intervals of a musical scale, specifically the Dorian mode. This connection also resonated with the historical significance of the number 7, which was associated with various natural and mystical orders, which just reinforced his belief in a unified and harmonious cosmos. So Newton's choice of 7 colors was partly about his observation, but also his desire to fit his findings into a framework of musical and mathematical symmetry. Number 3. Newton was a surprisingly dedicated alchemist, spending a significant amount of time trying to turn base metals into gold. While we rightly celebrate Newton for his groundbreaking work in physics, mathematics, and astronomy, he also had a deep and abiding interest in alchemy, an ancient practice focused on transmuting substances, particularly trying to create the mythical philosopher's stone capable of turning lead into gold and granting eternal life. It's estimated that he wrote over 1 million words on alchemical subjects throughout his life, far more than he wrote on optics or gravitation. For Newton, alchemy wasn't separate from his scientific inquiries. He likely saw it as a part of a larger quest to understand the fundamental nature of matter and the universe. While his alchemical pursuits didn't yield gold, his meticulous experimentation and note-taking in these endeavors likely honed his skills that benefited his more recognized scientific work. Many of his alchemical papers were kept private for centuries, only becoming widely known well into the 20th century. Number 4. For over 30 years, Newton held a prominent position at the Royal Mint, even becoming its master and overseeing a major currency reform. In 1696, Newton was appointed Warden of the Royal Mint, and then, in 1699, he became Master of the Mint, a position he held until his death in 1727. It wasn't just a ceremonial role. Newton took his duties very seriously. At the time, England's currency was in a dire state due to widespread clipping, which was shaving off small amounts of precious metal from coins, and counterfeiting. Newton applied his scientific mind and methodical approach to reforming the currency. He oversaw a massive project to recall old, damaged coins and issued new, more secure ones with milled edges to prevent clipping. He also vigorously pursued counterfeiters, even going undercover in disguise to gather evidence, and successfully prosecuted many of them. His efforts helped stabilize England's finances and restore public confidence in the currency. Our fifth and final fun fact for today: Newton was so intensely focused on his work that he often forgot to eat or sleep. Numerous anecdotes attest to Newton's incredible powers of concentration and his tendency to become completely absorbed in his studies, sometimes to the detriment of his own well-being. Stories tell of him working for hours on end without interruptions, sometimes forgetting meals entirely or only realizing he hadn't eaten when a servant reminded him or found food untouched. There's even a story of his cat eating his dinner because he was too preoccupied to notice. His nephew, Humphrey Newton, who served as his assistant for several years, recounted that he rarely saw Newton take any recreation or pastime, and that he would often remain in his study for days at a time when deeply engaged in a problem. This intense focus allowed him to make the monumental breakthroughs he did, but it also paints a picture of a man utterly consumed by his quest for knowledge. The man excelled in math and science, but apparently never quite worked out the whole work-life balance. Now for some news you can use. Sir Isaac Newton's first law of motion, the law of inertia, states that an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion with the same speed and in the same direction unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. You can use this understanding in everyday life. For example, when you're driving and you brake suddenly, your body wants to keep moving forward. That's inertia. Wearing a seatbelt provides the unbalanced force to keep you safe. A fun way to demonstrate inertia is the classic tablecloth trick. If you place some non-breakable items on a smooth tablecloth and pull the tablecloth away quickly and smoothly, the objects tend to stay in place because of their inertia, their resistance to change in their state of motion. The trick works best with a smooth, low-friction tablecloth and a quick horizontal pull. It's a great reminder that objects prefer to keep doing what they're already doing. And I'd prefer that you keep doing what you're doing, listening to Fun Facts Daily. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button on whatever podcast app you're using. Now for the moment you've been waiting for. Earlier, I asked if it was an actual fact that an apple falling directly on Sir Isaac Newton's head instantly gave him the idea for his theory of gravity. Well, this one is a charming fallacy. While an apple, or the observation of an apple falling, did play a role, the story of it conking him on the head and leading to an immediate eureka moment is an embellishment that's grown over time. Newton himself never claimed the apple hit him on the head. According to accounts from those who knew him, like William Stukeley, Newton was in his garden at Woolthorpe Manor and observed an apple fall from a tree. This caused him to ponder why apples always fall straight down to earth rather than sideways or upwards, and led him to theorize that the same force pulling the apple might extend much further, perhaps even to the moon. It wasn't a sudden flash of insight from a fruity impact, but rather a moment of contemplation that sparked years of deep thought and mathematical work to develop his theory of universal gravitation. So, the apple was a catalyst for thought, not a direct cause of injury or instant discovery. Interestingly, though, that specific tree, a Flower of Kent apple tree, is still at Woolthorpe Manor and is carefully tended to. Now, I hope you enjoyed learning about Sir Isaac Newton with me, and be sure to tune in every weekday for even more fun facts. Fun Facts Daily is an Airwave Media podcast. It was written, recorded, mixed, and edited by me, Kyle Wood. Thanks for sharing a part of your day with me. Be sure to follow Fun Facts Daily on your favorite podcast app so you can keep the good stuff coming your way every day. And if you like the show, please do me a favor and leave a kind rating, review, or just tell your friends about it.